their business. When the bankruptcy was announced a year ago, roughly, I had a friend who was in Europe. That was front page news for everybody else, for everyone there. I mean, that's a big deal. They have a better understanding that there is an international community beyond their own borders. And when the Assistant Secretary of State is saying that we spent $5 billion over the last 20 years to foster democratic forces, which she means Nazis, that is our business. We all work, we all pay taxes. When our federal government in every way possible is spending money that we work for to not only pay for the massive military that we have all over the world, well, not that we have, that they have all over the world, that's our business. So I can't stress enough that, like when Nazis were rising in Germany and in Italy at the beginning of the 20th century, people were aware of it. It wasn't just, people are at least aware. I mean, there were demonstrations in New York where, I think in 1936 or 1934, where 10,000 people came out to demonstrate against the rise of Hitler in Germany. Here, there's very little awareness of it, largely due to the fact that our media and our government would prefer to keep it hush hush that we're funding Nazis. And with everything that's going on right now, what we're seeing right now in eastern Ukraine, which is predominantly Russian-speaking, culturally Russian, they don't identify with the new government in Kiev. The only way I could really describe it, imagine if a band of Klansmen in Mississippi grabbed hold of the federal government, changed the flag to the Confederate flag, and then began to impose huge reforms onto the rest of the population. What would happen? You would have cities resisting that, and that's what we're seeing right now. It's a similar.
Like what Snyder's doing to
That's
Michigan.
right. Sure.
It's not funny.
It's very similar, except the only difference is in the east of Ukraine, what we're seeing is a social revolution where people are breaking away from the new government. In the city, the two republics were just formed on the basis of a referendum that the vast majority of the population engaged in, where Lugansk and Donetsk voted to separate from the government, or at least have autonomy in some way. They don't even necessarily want to completely break away from Ukraine, but they at least want to be able to control their own affairs. The new government there, the mayor of Lugansk is saying that they're going to nationalize industry. That's something that we should be looking at as saying, wow, why can't we do something like that? Why can't we take back everything that's private and then take everything that we never had? Why can't the water stay public, but why can't transportation stay public? Why can't all things be public? Why does anything need to be in the hands, as the mayor in Lugansk put it, we cannot allow our industries to be in the hands of unscrupulous businessmen. That sounds like something that we can all jive to. But in our media, that's not what, it's being portrayed as pro-Russian terrorists. That's what they are. Just as if there was some sort of rebellion here in the city and some folks from Klan country out in Howell or Fowlerville came over and tried to put it down, our media here would be saying it's an anti-terrorist operation. Anyone who would rebel and try to create a better life and break free from exploitation and oppression, they would be deemed as terrorists. What's that? Oh, okay. So all I'm saying is everyone needs to keep an eye on it, but if you're watching MSNBC, if you're watching Fox, if you're reading New York Times, I mean, yeah, eventually the truth might slip out every so often in the New York Times. Sometimes
premature truth. They don't tell the truth anymore.
Right. These sources are all tied into these financial institutions that want to rape and pillage Ukraine. And Detroit, it's the same people. Whether you're a garment worker in India, or you're someone that's getting shelled on by the Ukrainian military now, or if you're a Detroit retiree, it's the same enemy. And unless we have a concept of that, unless we understand ourselves in an international community and as an international working class, then they can continue to, they can do something here in Detroit. Only Detroiters are paying attention. They can do the same thing, well, except they're not shelling us right now with artillery. No one's paying, not, yeah, right. So we need to keep it all in perspective, and, you know, if the opportunity arises to show solidarity with the people in Ukraine, like, in the streets, it's part of an anti-war drive. Our government wants us to go to war with Russia, a nuclear power, a country that's only trying to maintain its own borders. I don't think a war with Russia benefits anybody in this room, especially when I might be drafted to go fight people who are just like me. That's not something that I feel like doing, and I think everyone here should keep an eye on that situation.
Okay. Thanks a lot. Yeah.